Welcome to Xtra presented by VDG Sports. I'm your host, Vince Douglas Gregory. Noobs, thank you for giving me an opportunity. Thank you for giving me a shot. Regs, I'm back at it again, and you know how we do. Abbreviated form. I'm going to go ahead and give some props. I'm going to go ahead and hat tip to some of the younger peeps. They get blamed. Yes, blame for everything under the sun. They get blamed for just about any and every bad thing that happens and that will occur. Just blame it on the youngins. Blame it on the younger generation. We didn't do this in my generation and look how we turned out. We didn't do this when I was growing up and look how we turned out. They always get the blame. And I will say, I definitely have been in that situation where I'm not going to necessarily say I pointed my finger, but I definitely question some of the younger generation's mentality because some within my generation decided that everyone is a winner and everyone deserves a trophy and everyone is unique and special. And okay. The unique and special part, I can agree with that. That part's true. But everybody's not a winner. Why keep score? Don't worry. I'm not going to go down that path. Not this time. You go back and check some of the historical documents. You can go back and check some of the historical documents for that. And maybe in the future. And don't rain check me on that either, because I haven't been doing rain checking about 2+ years. Can't do the rain checks anymore. It's hard to keep up. I'm just trying to say that and that's the younger generation, the youngins. They got a few things right. And I can't really say that it's the kids, but I'm just saying it's the generation under me, and there's a few. It's the generations under me, and there are a few. And not necessarily the kids. I think it's Generation Alpha. I'm not talking about you guys. And if you're listening, don't worry. It's okay. It's a family program, and I will say earmuffs when there are things that you don't need to know. Granted, there's some things that you probably can teach me that I had no clue what it meant or ever existed. But we ain't here for that. Nobody's here for that. There's definitely some things that I feel that they got right, and some things that I appreciate that it finally took a turn and finally now more and readily accessible. And whereas I was growing up and the generations before me, this was looked as a weakness and this was looked as something different. And so I'm just glad that the awareness increased. And maybe that's just with time, over time. Maybe that's just with more data, or maybe that's just with actually living through it and having life experiences and having people that's close to you going through this, or having people close to you have something happen that was tragic, and you kind of try to put your finger on it, place your finger on it, and try to figure out what was it? Where did this come from? How did this happen? And you rattled with questions, and possibly this was one of the answers that came up, and it happened within a large part of the population, and it just became more and more and more acceptable over the years and over time. And here we are. And I'm not saying that it's universally accepted, because there are still some people and peeps out there that will definitely try to shame you or try to go old school with it and say, we didn't do that in my day. You need to get over it, or they kind of not necessarily acknowledge the struggle or to acknowledge what it takes and how it actually takes a toll on you, but be very, very dismissive of it. And what I'm referring to, as most of you know, especially the mind readers and the nonverbal communicating peeps, you knew from the jump. I'm talking about talking to someone or letting someone know how you feel. Letting someone know so you can be able to get an insight or be able to have someone tell you, yeah, it happened to me, or yes, I know of someone. Because one of the worst feelings is being out there on an island and feeling like you're by yourself. There's no one else that understands this. There's no one else that's been through this. There's no one else that can help. And you just have all of those feelings boggled up, and it kind of it's not good. I'm just going to say it's not good. And I'm definitely not a doctor, and I'm definitely not a smarter individual that can basically direct you and tell you where to go. All I can say is if you need help, there are places that can help you. And if you need to talk to someone, you should talk to people, anybody. And hopefully it helps. And hopefully there's a shared experience. And I'm not saying that misery loves company, that kind of shared experience, where I'm saying it as maybe somebody's been through that once before and this is how they dealt with it, or this is something that they understand, or even if they don't understand, this is something that they can basically say, hey, yes, it's going to get better. It's going to get better, and you are not the only one. That's huge in situations like that. That is huge in situations like that. That's huge in situations like that, because that lets you know that you are not alone. And how do you get to that? You have to be more open to sharing actually how you feel and being okay with talking about it with someone. And as I was saying, with my generation and a little bit older, talking about how you felt and talking about things that bothered you, it was frowned upon. It was like, oh, okay, you don't think that everybody else has something that they're concerned about, that they're worried about, or that's bothering them to the point where they feel alone. And it was almost as if you talking about how you felt, or you saying that you're a little bit off, you were outcast. It's like, oh, how dare you tell us that you have a problem when you think the rest of us don't have problems? It was that kind of attitude. It was that kind of mindsets that, and I'm not trying to paint a broad brush here. I'm just saying from my experience and the people that I know of and knew of, and the 6 degrees of separation and the people that they knew of, and so forth. And so in my little web, that's how it was perceived. That's how it was. And I can say now it's different. Now it's different. Now you are almost expected to always share how you're feeling. Now you're almost expected to, if something's bothering you, you let somebody know, and they will be willing to help you, and they will be willing to do whatever. That whole stigmata about it it's diminishing. If it's not gone completely, I'm pretty sure there's still some and that mindset and that way of thinking and that way of life. I'm sure it is still within some pockets of life and some pockets around the world and what have you. Yet, for the most part, I see that dwindling and I seeing this being more acceptable, but you still have those that push back on it and try to tie negative connotations to it, try to continue to shame, but only in a different way. It's okay not to be okay. It is okay not to be okay. And it's okay to tell someone that you're not okay. What isn't okay is shaming someone for informing you or shaming someone for saying that they are not okay. To pretend, to bend it, to grin it and bear it, to just say, oh, I'm all right, I'm fine, when you're not. That is not cool. That's lying. That's not being honest. That's not being a truth teller. And that's one thing that I try to come across. That's one thing that I try to bring up a lot is be a truth teller. You don't have to answer the question. You can avoid it. You can sidestep it. You can give information that you think that someone needs to know. But be a truth teller. Be a truth teller. And that's why I say I can't blame and fault the younger generation for everything and how they go about, because that is one super duper important thing. Maybe it was because of them. Maybe it was because of us. I'm going to give them the credit for it because we were thinking something different then. And it wasn't until recently where things started to change, and the messaging, whereas it's okay. It's fine. You aren't alone. You're not out on this island alone. There are other people that have experienced this or experienced something similar to it. You don't feel okay? Okay. How can I help? It's more of that. And I'm not saying that everyone is willing and everyone will help you out. I'm speaking more in a sense on that level as people close to you. Because still, strangers are going to be reluctant to give you advice because they aren't really qualified to give you amazing advice or advice to help you. They can just direct you where you need to go, and they also can share their experience as well, and maybe them sharing their experience helps you out. It helps you get the help you need, or it does something that change your trajectory in a positive way. And I'm just saying that aspect of it is more acceptable. That aspect of it isn't about shaming. That aspect of it is completely different from my eyes than how it used to be. And that's why I say I gotta give you shout out. I gotta give you props, because we should have been doing that since day one. But hey, no words. Thank you.